What's up, y'all? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. 11:37 in the afternoon. Normally, you guys see me in the morning. You don't ever see me this time in the afternoon. So let me turn my music down a little bit so I can hear myself talk. Today we're having a conversation this morning. This is special. We call this a special raw perspective report this morning. And today's report, we're going to talk about red versus blue this morning. And let me tell you why I started this conversation this morning. I think it's important that I have this conversation because we seem to be getting real mixed up in our conversations about what's happening. And I'm going to talk to y'all about what happened in Memphis, Tennessee. And as we get this conversation going, you guys can always comment if you want to. Obviously, you can bring your own perspective to the conversation. But I'm going to tell y'all something this morning. So let me tell you how it started. How this conversation started, right? Let's go back to it. I just want to get it right. There was a conversation that I was having on social media about what happened with the police and police brutality in Memphis. So I'm not even looking at the numbers. I don't have my MOP page in today. Today is just this conversation because I felt like I needed to answer it. When I was getting hundreds and hundreds of opinions, positive, negative opinions about what I was saying, and people were all stuck on this red and blue thing. I commented on a young woman who kept talking about Democratic states being the big problem in the United States of America. And so this is not, listen, here's the deal. I'll play a little hip hop for y'all so y'all can, if y'all want to hear some hip hop, but this is not that kind of conversation today, all right? This is a conversation that's really about the community and economics. So we're going to talk about economics. So get on out of here if you're not really trying to hear this. This may not be for you, but this is for posterity. So I'm going to make this statement. All right. So after replying to a rant on IG in Democratic versus Republican states, I got hundreds of emails with various opinions on this subject, from economics to affirmative action. So let's just make sense of it all. The United States is a market-driven economy. You know this. United States is a market-driven. States with larger economies like New York with 19.8 million people versus Tennessee, where Memphis is 6.8 million people. Even New York City has 8.4 million people. So this is things that we know already, right? We will always financially subsidize smaller states like Tennessee. Now, to even make it more interesting is that the larger population cities in Tennessee, Memphis, and Nashville actually subsidize the rest of Tennessee. Yeah, so just so you understand. It's like the more people you have, the more money you have, the more problems you have. And sometimes those problems will lead to tragedies. Like, for instance, that situation with those 5 police and this young man. All right. The market has driven politics since slavery. At the end of the day, you think it wasn't that they didn't like the black people. Sometimes we get into situations where we think that white people don't like black people or black people. No, it's really about business. Slavery was how the colonies were able to get rich. It's very simple. Free labor. All right. So let's get back to some real numbers here so you understand that it's not even, this is not even an opinion, all right? New York State had a GDP of $1.7 trillion. California has a GDP of $2.9 trillion. In comparison to the GDP of Tennessee, which is at $355 billion. The disparity in economic activity helps to explain why New York and California are typically the top contributors to the federal government in terms of tax revenue, and Tennessee will always rank lower. But let's take it even further. Let's make that needle go further, right? Let's talk about Memphis and Nashville. So Memphis, Tennessee, so that you don't know, Memphis, Tennessee had a boost in the last 10 years in their economy. They went from around three something billion to about $30 billion in revenue. That means, and 72% of their revenue, tax revenue, was coming in through sales tax, meaning there was a population increase in Memphis, Tennessee that happened in very recently, a recent population increase over the last 10 to 12 years. That the money from Memphis and Nashville drives the economy of the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee has 6.8 million people in it. So now let's break that down to something that you guys want to talk about, red and blue states. Okay. Democratic driven states like New York. Okay. We could talk New York or California. Well, we have more people. So those democratic policies work for states like New York City with big urban centers. Like New York City, 8 million people, basically is the size of Austria as far as people, are big, just as big as Sweden, the entire country. So when states like that, you have to have more regulations, you have to have more situations in the state in order to make sure that you can handle the population. Now, what you're going to have also is more crime. You're going to have more crime. You're going to have more political differences. You're going to have more different types of people that are going to come in with their own ways of wanting to get things done. Where cities like Memphis, Tennessee is another example of a city, an urban center like New York City. So the problem that we have in here, and this is a big issue, they're trying to drive, and I'm responding to the hundreds of emails with facts because, they're trying to say, they even went as far as making a racial conversation. Well, let me explain something to you. From a racial space, the African American people are one of the biggest consumers in this country. This is a consumer-driven economy. We buy more stuff. When you go into these rural areas, those people don't buy as much. They don't buy more. They're not in the mall. They're not buying Louis Vuitton. They're not buying high-end purchases to live on a farm in Arkansas. But in New York City, where it's more turned up, people tend to buy more stuff. They buy more Jordans, nonsensical stuff because we have more people and the competition is higher to be seen, to be noticed, whatever the case may be. It drives it higher. So at the end of the day, you're going to have that. So Memphis, Tennessee is in the middle of a fight where it's bigger than these 5 police officers, by the way. And I'm not using this as a racial component because I don't want to do that. This is not a racial conversation. Black cop versus that. I don't want to even my brothers and sisters in the African American community, I think we oversimplify that. I've heard very smart people argue about this from a black and white perspective. It's not black and white. This is money, market-driven economy. It was the same way from slavery to fentanyl. After slavery, sugar, tobacco, cotton, sugar, cotton, tobacco, chicken, fentanyl. It's the same thing. Thank you, Mark. Yeah. Good to see you, Mark. And so what I find is that we're having this conversation about red and blue states, and then we're just throwing darts in the air. Like I'm hearing a lot of, and I wouldn't call myself a Republican or a Democrat. I'm more in the middle. But when we start having these conversations about red and blue states, I find that people are throwing rocks at the blue states like New York, California, when these states are subsidizing the poorer states. And let me give you, before we even go here, let me give you actual numbers of who's making money. The top 10 states that are contributing to the government as far as revenue: California, New York, Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Ohio, New Jersey, North Carolina, and Georgia. These are the top states. All right. The states that are taking the most and contributing the least to the government, well, here you go. I'll give you 20. Wyoming, Alaska, North Dakota, Vermont, South Dakota, Delaware, Montana, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Maine, West Virginia, Hawaii, Idaho, Nebraska, New Mexico, Nevada, Utah, Kansas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. These are the cities, these are the states who typically, in these states, if you look at them, for the most part, they typically vote red, just so you know. So when we start having these conversations about what's real and what's not real, well, let's talk about it from a real perspective. More people, more money, more problems. I think we need to get past all these emotions about black and white, and let's just make it about money. Get past black and white, red and blue, and make it about money. It's about money. And if you're not making money, then that's a problem. But if you're making money, you're going to have more problems as well. This your boy, Unc. I hope that answers some of the questions, because people were just coming at me trying to have these conversations. And, quite honestly, if you really want to have more conversations about the subject, then let's do our research and come together with real facts as opposed to emotions. We can get trapped off in these conversations about black and white or black on black crime in these situations. And I think that is a distraction from the fact. The fact of the matter is, a market-based economy are going to have these problems, and we just have to figure out ways that we can manage this problem. Just like everything else, managing your problems and managing your relationships. Again, this your boy Unc. This is not for everybody, this conversation. But this conversation is for everybody. Come see me on Sunday as I do my my Sunday morning inspiration, and then we'll be back Monday morning with the Raw Perspective morning emails. Make sure y'all come check me out. And this is just a special report, red versus blue. All right, y'all come back and see me again. And I just wanted to clarify that conversation, because I feel as if we have not been truly honest with ourselves. And let's focus on it. The more you know, the more you know. Talk to y'all later. Good morning. Have a good day.